Good morning, everybody. This is John Corelli, your average guy with his average guy opinions. Today is episode 44. This is kind of a filler episode, not very exciting. It's going to be part one of two, maybe even three. Just talking about places I've been. I'm going to start by saying today it is very, very cold here in Colorado. It's about zero. um, and that's not very usual. We have some cold snaps here from time to time, but the whole weekend, this is Valentine's Day weekend, so tomorrow on Valentine's Day I'll talk about that. The day after is my son's birthday, Dante's birthday, I'll talk about that. Today, though, is just kind of a filler episode. Oh, by the way, last night I did really well at comedy, so I'm happy about that. If you guys ever want any, information on comedy, just go to my Facebook page. Hit me up on YouTube or even Twitter. Twitter, we do my site is called Another Comic, Another Podcast. A podcast I still need to work harder on getting off the ground. I haven't really worked very hard. I've only done 2 episodes. I will probably put these in there too, these average guy opinions. I'll start feeding those into Twitter as well. Anyway, so like I said, filler episode. Sorry if it's a little boring. It's early on Saturday morning, the 13th. I got catitude, and I'll probably have to open the door for that little hunk of mine. But yeah, I'm going to talk about just places I've been. I'm going to start with today's episode will be about the United States. I really have an affinity for college towns. I'm finding as I get older. I don't know if I'll stay in Colorado to retire. I probably will, but I might let my kids steer the wheel and say, "Hey, Dad, I could use some support. I want to go here for school or work or whatever." I may follow them there. As the planet continues to get hotter, I'm going to look for cooler places to go because I need a place that has seasons and cool weather from time to time. Colorado still does that for now. For now, we're not the high desert. But yeah, I may end up going to the Northeast or maybe a place like Minnesota or Wisconsin. It has to be a blue state, not only in weather, but in politics. I need to live in a place like that. But yeah, many of you know I was born in New York. I've been to, I think, 33 states. I have to do a count sometimes. I've visited most of the Northeast, all of the Midwest, most of the West. I haven't been to Alaska, Hawaii, and I should get there because my stepbrother has homes in each of those states, which would be really cool to just visit him and see those places. And like I was saying earlier, I love college towns. I've been to Eugene, Oregon. I've been to Madison, Wisconsin, Laramie, Wyoming, Tallahassee, Florida, all college towns, and they're all very different college towns, as you can imagine from where they are on the map. Just like it. I did comedy in Tallahassee back when I was dating a woman that lived there. Liked it down there, not just because of the comedy. It's the South, but it's a college town, so it's like kind of mellowed out, thanks to the generally progressive minds that are at Florida State University and the surrounding colleges that are also around Tallahassee. It's also the capital, so hopefully cooler heads will prevail. It's hard for me not to launch into what's going on with this impeachment this week, but I'm going to probably save that for next week as well. I've got a lot of stuff piled up. Like I say, not a very interesting episode. This one, as I speak like Yoda, not a very interesting episode this one will be. Sorry. Um, but I've been to some cool places, and I will follow this up, like I said, with a part 2 or part 3 because I've been to Europe, which is cool. Was all over Europe in 1993. I've been to India, which is cool, and each of those could probably take up an episode depending where I go and how much information I have and what I want to talk about. In other episodes, I may run out. I don't know. I'm 44 in, but I'm going to start probably just keeping up with the news a little better and just commenting on things that are going on. And obviously, maybe I'm not striking while the iron's hot with the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing and the impeachment, but maybe, like I said, maybe I'll hit upon that next week. Back to my travels. Lived in Colorado most of my life. Lived in Cleveland for a few years in the late 90s when they did not have professional football. But I really like Cleveland a lot. I could see myself going there. Cleveland's by far the most liberal city in Ohio. When we were in the liberal part, we were on the east side, which is more liberal, more educated. West Siders don't want to hear that, but they acknowledge it. West Side is more blue collar. And those are just facts. Those are just statistical facts about that city. It's very segregated. except in Cleveland Heights, which is interesting. Cleveland Heights is actually almost where the salt and pepper come together. Cleveland Heights is a really amazing place. Maybe I'll just talk about it for a while. So we lived there from 1996 to 2000. My son Dante was born there in 1998 in the Cleveland Clinic. Can't speak. Being able to speak is really integral to doing these, isn't it? But so we lived there from 96 to 2000, and Dante was born there, and our parents, both Dylan's parents and my parents, were clamoring for their first grandchild to get back to Colorado, and we did that. It was always a 3 to 5 year plan, but I honestly could have stayed there. I really liked it. Winters are harsh. Winters suck there because the lake effect snow. It feels like it's 20 for like 3 months straight. At least it did in the late 90s. Maybe global warming helped there too. Falls were beautiful, as you can imagine. A lot of foliage, really pretty. Springs were wonderful, very green. And summers were humid, but not super hot. It would reach 90s, low 90s. With humidity, that sucks, but generally the summers are really nice. The summer nights were very warm, like perfect usually. Sometimes a little too warm, but loved it there. Here's what Cleveland Heights did that was really cool. And as far as I don't know if there are any other suburbs, even in the country, doing this. There might be. Cleveland Heights kind of ran by its own set of rules. Some were kind of annoying, but some were really great. Like some of the things they had, like you could not park on the street. We're talking suburban streets. You were not allowed to park on the street. If you visited someone, you had to either find like a street kind of far away where they allowed parking, or you had to hopefully they would clear out their parking lot. Like if you had a party, it could be a real pain in the ass. They also did not allow signage of any kind, even if you were selling a home or doing a yard sale. They're like, nope, we don't want our city to look like that. So here's the thing about Cleveland Heights. It's right next to it borders Shaker Heights, and Shaker Heights is one of the most affluent suburbs, probably in Ohio, and actually probably in the country, and I would say most likely the most affluent suburb in Ohio. A few others like along the lake, like I think Bracknell is a big one, but anyway. So they have that influence where Cleveland Heights wanted to look really nice. But Cleveland Heights also was, despite Cleveland being one of the most segregated cities in the country, I learned this when I was there, Cleveland Heights is actually the most integrated suburb in the country. It's like where the black meets the white, and it's really cool because they support that there. If you are a white person or a white family like we were, and you're purchasing a home in a mostly black block, the city of Cleveland Heights, back then at least, would give you a 0% loan up to $10,000 on your home. And Dylan and I, being in our late 20s and just getting started out, and that was where we bought our first home, we did that. We took advantage of that. We lived on a mostly black block. We didn't give a shit because we're not racists. Everyone there's middle class. It's not about color, it's about class. And I grew up, or I didn't grow up, but Dante started growing up when his first couple of years of life around some really awesome black neighbors. We had a few white neighbors too, but like I said, we were on a predominantly black block to get that 0% loan. So that was really cool. Really liked Cleveland Heights a lot. I worked there. I ran the theater for about a year and a half. It was called the Centrum. It was a really cool theater. It was one of those old theaters that was built in the 20s, and it was huge, and everyone went there. And then, eventually it shut down probably in the 50s, and then they brought it back, and for a while it was even a porn theater. And then Landmark came to own it and divided it up into three theaters, kind of like the Mayan here in Denver, if you're familiar. They made the balcony, because the balconies were huge in those theaters. The balconies of those theaters were huge back in the 20s. So you can make the entire balcony its own theater. And then the bottom part, which was also huge, usually had 1,000 seats. They divided that into 2 theaters. So I ran that 3-theater complex. If you're an East Sider, even if you probably live in Cleveland at all, you've heard of Coventry. It's like a little hippie block where all the businesses are like privately owned or single person business. They're small businesses. There's no corporate influence there. It's really cool. And we were at the top of the hill. And I ran that theater for the last year and a half that we were there in 98 through 2000. Had a really good time. Like I said, son was born there. I'm sorry, this is like a rambling one. This is a filler episode, but sometimes you need to do that. These can be hard to do every day. I'm going to try to get better at it. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I bitch about Valentine's Day. And you guys have a great day. Have a great 13th. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.